Have a good number this evening. Good to see everyone, especially those of you who may be visiting with us. We want to welcome you to our Wednesday evening service. You know, as Americans in recent decades, we have become obsessed with health issues. And you may be snickering, we look around, and say, really? But at least on the surface, we've become obsessed with health issues. And maybe for many reasons people do this. The doctor says, look, if you don't lose some weight, you're going to have a heart attack or you're headed for a stroke. If you don't cut out on this, you're going to have some problems. And so what do? We begin a diet. We may begin an exercise program. We begin doing whatever the doctor recommends. Sometimes we get on a health kick because, it's New Year's coming up and we look in the mirror and we don't like what we see. I've got to lose some weight. I got to get in shape. Maybe the wife says, honey, you could knock off a few pounds for whatever reason. And on the list, there are all kinds of reasons why people become concerned with health issues. And sometimes people, especially younger ones, just want to be in good shape. And maybe this is because of the influence of athletes in our lives. You stop and think about the way we look at professional athletes or even collegiate athletes. We put them on a pedestal almost. Young people want to be like them. What other occupation will get your picture on a box of cereal? Super Bowl MVP on a box of Wheaties, big bucks. When's the last time you saw a college teacher's face on a box of Wheaties? It's not going to happen. We idolize athletes, they got those big muscles and they just ripple with strength. We want to be like them. And maybe young guys, they look at the girls looking at the athletes and they, wow, I want them to look at me like that. And so they become somewhat obsessive with getting in shape and being in shape. Recent studies show that 15% of Americans have a gym membership. Now, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. I see some smiles, but I'm not going to ask. 15% of Americans have a gym membership. And this sounds good until you realize that only 8% of the people who have gym memberships use them. You know what the average usage of a gym membership is? And this is over a several-year study. 4 times a year. Those are expensive workouts, aren't they? Why do you think they charge that upfront fee? Because you're not going to come in 12 times during the next 12 months. They're not going to make any money on you. And ladies, quit elbowing your husbands. I see several of you doing this. What do? January, we go get a membership. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get in shape. And then, we don't get around to it. And that doesn't count the $40 to $50 billion a year that's spent on weight loss stuff. It doesn't count the $30 billion a year spent in America alone on equipment such as exercise, bicycles, running shoes, running apparel, gym bags, water bottles, and the list goes on and on. And the irony is where most of this stuff winds up, within 12 months it winds up in the Goodwill or other thrift stores, doesn't it? Again, we're obsessed. We want to look good. We want to be in shape. But how many people have the commitment? How many people have the follow-through, the determination, whether it means getting up every morning an hour early to go to the gym, getting up early and going jogging or riding your bicycle or whatever it takes? You see, it's one thing to want something. It's totally another to follow through to reach that. My point is this. What about our spiritual fitness? We spend money, we make good intentions, or we make resolutions that we're going to do this for our physical bodies, but what about our spiritual? Do you remember what Paul told Timothy in 1 Timothy 4 and verse 8? He said, for bodily exercise profiteth little. Now the English Standard says it's of little value. Bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things. Or the ESV says, is of value in every way. Having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. Again, how many Christians, I want to know the Bible. I want to be spiritually strong. I want to be involved in the work of the church. I want to teach a class. I want to do a home study and on the list goes. We want to be spiritually in shape. But sadly, how many follow through with those resolutions to read more, study more, pray more, prepare ourselves to do this? we may go out and we may buy a new study Bible in January. I'm going to start reading my Bible and studying every day. And we get all the paraphernalia, Bible dictionary, concordance program for our phone or our iPad. And we're just going to really make good use. But do we follow through with those resolutions? We need to give it some thought. It's great to be in shape physically, but it's far more important to be in shape spiritually. Because the day will come when I stand before God, and it's not going to matter my physical shape. But when I stand before God and He's going to say, hey, why didn't you do what I asked? Why didn't you follow? Well, I had good intentions, Lord. I planned to. I just didn't have time. I didn't get around to it. But do we really think God is going to accept those excuses for neglecting our spiritual health and our spiritual well-being? Hope you'll give some thought to these things in the coming days, the rest of the week. And let's resolve that we're going to work on our spiritual health more. And everyone's needs are different. Some people need a stronger, more consistent prayer life. Others need to spend more time studying the Word and diving into the Scriptures. Others need to be more involved in personal evangelism, visitation, benevolence, whatever the case may be. But we all have room for improvement in our spiritual lives. But tonight, if you're not a Christian, you have the opportunity to become one, coming in faith, repenting and turning from your sins, giving them up, confessing the name of Christ, and being baptized for the forgiveness of your sins. Tonight, if you need to respond to heaven's invitation to become a child of God or to simply ask for the prayers of the church, you have the opportunity to do so while we stand and while we sing.